coming up in another one coming up in Hudson and one in Chicago. So our mission is and vision is to spread devotion for Sai Baba in the community and to serve the community needs for spiritual uh, needs. And Vijayji has been part of this since our very inception in 2010. We have been doing this Gita Jayanti every year since then, and every year we have been doing one chapter of Gita. So in its 11th year, we are on the 11th chapter today. We all know Vijayji. He has been like he has started like he has started the Ramayana, and he Valmiki Ramayana also he conducted it at Dwarka Mai. Before that, the Akhand Ramayana that has been happening for 20 plus years in Lakshmi Temple. He has been part of that. And also recently, he is the president of India Spiritual Center, where he's promoting the Indian culture. And with that said, over to you, Vijayji.
Okay, all right. Very good. All right. So welcome you all. Now I must admit that you are my teachers, because Gita is not really spoken from a platform. Gita is realization. Gita is what you understand. And this opportunity that the Dwarka Mai has provided me for last many years. So this gives me an occasion to examine my own self. And that's hard. See, I am a scientific profession astronomer, and where you see an object, you can touch and feel, or you can try to imagine, understand physical object. But your life is inside of you. Now, what I do here, I think, can you, the Sandeep, can you put that some kind of a thing, the light on, so that screen covers. All right, while he does, you know what I mean? All right. Just 1 second. How
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you see me on the screen or?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, because I'm seeing you on the screen, but I'm seeing my screen only a small, or maybe the view.
Yeah, I'm able to see you on the screen. Fine.
Speaker view. Okay, speaker view. What is speaker? Sorry, people. No. See, do you see me in the screen, or you see me on the side of the screen?
I have set up gallery mode, so yeah, I can see you in the screen.
Now, do you know how to do this? I don't know. Immersive.
No, what are you asking?
I'm
I
asking
don't know.
the screen to fill me.
No, I don't know.
Okay, all right. Because I don't have any slides on this. So they have some kind of a thing they do. How do I do this? So you are seeing me like on the side screen, correct?
No, in the main screen. In the speaker view.
Mishraji, you want to turn off your video, is it?
No,
Is
no,
that what you want to do?
no, no. I want like my screen to be there on the main screen, not on the side.
So what you have to do is on this application, you see there is something called share screen.
Yeah.
Go below share screen, click that.
Yeah.
After you click it, then it will give you option of which screen you want to share.
No, I want to screen the main screen, the screen I am on. Okay.
Yeah, you have to select that.
Oh.
In the screen sharing, you have to select the screen which you want to share.
Okay. Maybe I did.
Okay, so we are seeing the Gmail.
Right, that's not what I want. I want me to be.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying that you select the one which you want to share.
Mm-hmm.
In the share screen.
What do you see now?
The photo, the Sri Dwarkamai Vidyapit celebrates Gita Jayanti.
So now this screen, I see Anil Naik on the screen. Sorry, maybe it doesn't work. Sorry, people, I am kind of a novice on this. I don't have any help. So you say share screen, I go.
Yes, share screen.
Okay, Anil Naik screen, I share. And then
okay, now we can see your screen on Gita Jayanti.
Okay, and then how do I go to, from here, how do I go to my screen? I see Anil Naik on the side. And let us see. Meeting controls. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Don't close that. Don't close that. Don't close that application. Whatever we have here is correct. So whoever speaks onto this application gets onto the center. So
okay, then I continue.
You continue. You are correct. What you are doing is right. Yes. Now you click that and you minimize the Zoom meeting. This
minimize.
Don't.
Okay.
Yeah, minimize it. Don't close it.
Okay.
Exactly.
So now I'm on the screen.
Your screen is with that photo. Sri Dwarkamai Vidyapit celebrates Gita Jayanti.
Okay.
Stop that. We can see you. There are two screens. One is the screen you're sharing and one is the speaker view. In the speaker view, we can see you as well as we can see your screen.
Right. But I don't.
Do you have any presentation point or some?
I want to show the Gita, this Gita, but doesn't work. Okay, let us see. Live on Facebook. Hide video panel. No.
What do you want to present?
On left-hand side, on the top, please click that cross.
So that is where this is important. That is for some reason, we don't know exactly the reason. Some time ago, this historical man called Sri Krishna, maybe accidentally discovered that there is a layer of life in the brain behind the mind. Mind we know, mind has been analyzed, mind drives us, mind is called as the part of our human health. The mental health is more important than physical health. So that is kind of analyzed before. But what was new was, is man an accident or man is independent? Does man control his life or man is a pawn and pushed around in life? Now, he may not have examined this, but what he did examine, by some reason, he was not very educated. And I think the place he went to, they taught him to think, meditate. It's not thinking, meditation. And in that meditation, he did check that there is a state exists in us, in him, where he doesn't exist. So this particular experience, that I can reach a state where I can get rid of my body's feelings, the joy, the sorrow and pleasure, the hunger and thirst. The time will stand still. I am there. And that state he possibly reached, and he preached that this is realizable. And he called that is the signature of life. Now, as you can feel, many people did not buy this because you can't easily simulate. Not that you sit down and so on, you will see this. So that was possibly true. So he tried to say, okay, take it my word, understand me, and hopefully I will show you some path. He probably did not know the path, what leads to this. But much later, some people tried to create a path, examine a path, a scientific path. So that we have called yoga. The science of meditation, the way you can go and you can still your mind. So there are two things here. One is that you have something besides the mind in your brain, and that something is your own signature that has been coming through you for ages, from infinity, from initial cosmos. So that is there. That's the hypothesis. What is the hypothesis? Hypothesis is that man is the most evolved animal. And by virtue of that, it has a right to its own understanding, its own origin. It bears its own origin inside of it. It may not be known to the man, but it is there. And he discovered it. That's the point. So two things. One is man is not an accident. Man has it, evolved. And through that evolution, you have generated something called viveka. Viveka is a later word, not a Gita word. Viveka, which is your original self. Now, what does viveka do? Viveka gives you the control of your life. How? It gives control of your life by making you fearless. Why we fear? We fear because the future is uncertain. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. We don't know what will happen this evening. We don't know whether we will fall sick. We don't know. So the question is, should you know, or that's an accident? So hypothesis is, it is exists, it is known, and you have a right to know. Viveka knows. So in the Gita, whenever Gita is written, I'm telling two things. One is Krishna, whenever he lived, he got into this mode where he saw that there is a state which is beyond his appearance, beyond what he is. But that state to be achieved scientifically became yoga. And then this whole material became a book called Gita, which has been inserted in Mahabharata much later time. This is my understanding, or this is what I see from my analysis. Now, when we read Gita, we see the 18 chapters of Gita. And what I'll try to explain to you is how these chapters develop in order that we can understand the science of it. And then I'll show where does this science end, where Gita becomes a theology. So initial part of it, as I said, the Viveka part, the part of inside the brain. So in the initial chapter, second chapter itself, in the first chapter, it's like, okay, what shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do? But then first technical word comes in. So that's prajna. That is, you know what to do. So that's the difficult thing. How do I know what to do? But that's the hypothesis, that because the cosmic signature exists in you as prajna, which is who knows the future. Why they know the future? Because the universe has a future. Universe knows what to do. Universe is a collection of objects that we have in the universe. So given the ensemble, they have a path. I'm a part of the ensemble. I don't know the path, but I have access to the path by virtue of my prajna. So once I have access to the path through prajna, then I feel secure. I don't really care what happened. Suppose my prajna tells me I'll be sick. I mean, universe says that this disease is increasing. You'll all be sick tomorrow. So that is where there's a fallacy. That fallacy is the universe doesn't exist to destroy itself. Universe exists as a positive bundle to survive. So the word is called Sat. So universe is existing. It tries to maneuver itself so that it can exist. Aberrations come and go, universe exists. Hence the prajna that we have retains this positive aspect that I shall exist. Universe exists. I'm a part of the universe. So this particular thesis that I exist and I would also exist in the future, that's because universe exists. Now, how do you know universe exists? How do you know universe will not decay? because we see, so that is an order in the universe. There is an order in the universe. So that order appears to be Nitya. Nitya is a Sanskrit word. Regular. It continues. The sun rises, the wind blows, the seasons change, the trees happen, children born, children die, man comes. So these things happen. So this has been called the universal law. So that is the positive part of it, that in spite of minor aberrations here and there, the universe exists. I have a reason to believe it will continue to exist. This particular thing of universe existence, in our modern psychology, has been called the positive attitude. That is, don't be scared, it will go. It will pass on. It's a storm. It's not going to. So this particular property is with Viveka, to calm you down. Now, if you see scientifically what that may mean, that as I'm speaking, you have mind, and mind is kind of trying to capture, understand. Sometimes doesn't understand, get disturbed. So agitations come. Part of it is understood, part of it is not understood. So Viveka does is to say that a mind is quiet, such that anything that comes, I can handle. I can give my full energy to it, my full efficiency to it. So that's the Viveka's role. So the prajna that he introduces, the whatever poet is, in the second chapter itself, that you have this potential where you can silence the mind. And by silencing the mind, your prajna will illuminate. And the prajna illuminate, nothing is impossible. Then we have to see how does the prajna illuminate? How do I get there? Okay, I accept, possibly, as you are saying, I might have it. But then, how do I reach it? How do I control my mind to reach my prajna? Now, I must say, this prajna technique, technically, has not been explored either in the science or in theology. It is, however, you can experience it. If you sit in meditation, deep meditation, able to silence your mind with a lot of efforts, and then you may notice that your body disappears, or you are coming out of the body. So this particular thing, that I have an appearance, but whatever I'm seeing and whatever I'm thinking or whatever I'm doing is only occasional, it's only local. But there's a deeper truth inside of all this. That's prajna. So then he says, okay, suppose I say, okay, prajna is there. How do I reach there? So this so-called scientific part of Gita, which is the yoga, says the poet, by that time it has been developed. So the third chapter brings it up, called Shraddha. Shraddha. So what is Shraddha now? Shraddha is try to believe prajna exists. You have to first accept it. If you're ambivalent, is it there? Is it there? What I do? I don't see it. Where do I go? Okay. So now, so that part by virtue of that, this whole technique, this whole science has been disturbed in our own country. Different people have come and they say, don't see, because not easy to see. And they don't have Shraddha in it. Now, some people, also our own people, they have rejected it because it is, once you get to the Viveka, you may not follow the local laws. You may not follow the control. You may not follow whatever the king or whatever government or whatever thing, sampradaya, they say, right? Because you are now in control of yourself. And that's not very helpful for many people to operate. So institutionally, I don't know when, but sometime back, maybe in the early first millennium itself. So the yoga, this prajna discovery, prajna analysis itself was squeezed and left to only few people who may become sannyasis. Not Krishna. Krishna says prajna is your daily life. You live in prajna, fearless, so that the future is known to you. Every time you're confident. So develop Shraddha in this faith, in this logic that Viveka exists. Okay, I develop Shraddha. Shraddha. Now, as you can see, half the people are kind of eliminated because Shraddha is not easy to deliver it. Why shall I trust? And trust something that I don't know even. So I don't care. Now, those people who continue to have Shraddha, trust, faith, so they make a group. So that is another word that the Gita introduces. That's called Sangha. Sangha is a biological word. That is, we try to associate. We try to associate. The life tries to associate. The cells try to associate. So that observation is there. Human beings, animals, plants, and water, in anything that's this thing, they try to merge. They try to come together. So these particular people who are Shraddha now, they have a right to also group together. Sangha. We make an association of ourselves because we are all Shraddha. We believe in Viveka. So that is where Gita, again Krishna, I don't know that Krishna did know this or not. Or Krishna knew this because he will say that, that Sangha is your largest enemy. Why? Because then you become competitive. You say we are better than them. We have Shraddha, they don't have Shraddha. We have this particular operation. We are on the path of finding Viveka. They are on the find of going trees. So this particular thing, when we distinguish ourselves by virtue of our Sangha or groupism, the Gita says, so that itself drops your Shraddha. So Sangha, you have a right to have Sangha, but you have a right to reject the Sangha dosha. What is Sangha dosha? The competition due to Sangha, the one-upmanship, go forwardship, I am bettership. So then the question is, but I have Sangha. I'm a human being. I like association. What's wrong with me associating people who are with me? They do the same thing as I do. So that is where on the 5th chapter, so they will introduce another word, which is a representative of the universe called Brahman. That is your Sangha. Yes, your right to associate. You have right to be friendly. But that friendliness is not confined to people whom you like or people who are with you. That association is with the universe in the form of Brahma. So the Sangha you do, but Sangha you do with this universe. Now it becomes complicated. I'm trying to search my Viveka. I was told in order to search Viveka, I should have Shraddha. While I did Shraddha, I developed a group because together we can find out. Then the difficulty came that once together you grip out, you lose the Shraddha because you lose the universe out of it. So you have a right to associate, but don't eliminate anyone. Like Brahma be your Sangha. So then it becomes, wow. So whosoever people might have been coming so far with Krishna, just imagine how these so-called people are living out. That's because what is he talking about? I make association with Brahma. Then he says, well, you want to show you Viveka. And see Viveka, this is the path. So then after you do the understand that you are only a part of the universe, but a minuscule part of the universe. You do not have any group except the large group of the universe. When you create Shraddha in that ideology, that I am a part of the universe and that universe is my friend. I don't discard anything that is in the universe. My Viveka is due to them. I want to know their moves through my Viveka. And hence, I have to make my Sangha with them. So whosoever people got remained, okay, all right, it's difficult, but let us try. So they try. And then in this path, Krishna or the Gita will introduce another word, which is like in the 6th chapter, called Atma. Atma. So you have an Atma. So the question is, so what? I have my Atma. But then what Gita will analyze, and this is where the science comes in, that Atma that you have somehow gets controlled by your senses. You have the eyes, ears, skin, and the senses up there. So they have been given to you. Atma is given to you. These senses are given to you so that you can operate. You operate because you have to operate on the earth or in the universe. But when that operation makes you feeling that that's what you are, then you lose the Viveka. Viveka is not part of your senses. Viveka is part of the cosmos. So the senses, so what happens is, so you have the, so you understand this, You have this Atma, but somehow this Atma is covered with your senses. So try to extract the Atma out of the senses. Then you can connect yourself to the Brahman. Because as long as your senses are controlling you, you are not really part of the Brahman. You have an appearance. You try to pretend as a man, pretend as a person, pretend as this, and that's not what you are. So this particular thing, Atma, as a part of the universe, which connects to the Brahman, is something you have to realize. And once you connect to, once you remove your indriyas, so the question then would be, I remove means what? I don't use them. Of course you use them. So Gita, whosoever the poet is, Gita is the most brilliantly written text. So indriyani indriyarthebhyo, use them for doing their work, not to create understanding, not to create impressions, not to judge, not to qualify. See them, see the sunrise. But don't say that, oh, how beautiful it is. There's no quality in this. The local fire is equal to the sun. So this particular thing, Brahman, in the sense of Brahman, all objects have the equal value. That you realize when you become your Atma. Now, when I say you become your Atma, you are your Atma. Except you don't realize you are your Atma. You realize yourself, you have a name, your father, your mother, your place, your house, your location, you have a job, you have some money, you have resources, you have a life, you have a disease. And what he will say, that is not what Atma is. Atma is part of this Brahman, connected to it, eternally, locally manifest with the as you perceive them as somebody, a name. So Atma. So then I think once he makes this scientific part, that is, in order to find Viveka, you must understand that you are Atma. You are not your senses. Rejection of senses. There's no touch. There's no hearing. No, there is hearing, but not any value judgment. If anybody is thinking that Mishra is speaking all right or Mishra is talking bogus, both are wrong. You are hearing right. Your Viveka wouldn't tell you, penetrate inside, that whether it is worth or not worth. Viveka knows what the next step is. Inner call, inner voice, inside of us. So that Atma, once you say that that's a connection of Atma to Brahman, so then the student or whoever is there, part of this thing. I think I must say, this is what I kind of mischievously say, that Krishna became, this whole thesis became so complicated, difficult, that Krishna didn't have any disciples really. Because people, this is hard. So people left. Only half a dozen maybe, or even. And then at the Gita, as we say, he's struggling hard to even have Arjuna as a disciple to understand him. Hey, look, don't neglect it. I have some thesis to say. Now, when you find, and he discovers, and Gita author also discovers, that this process of connecting yourself or making yourself Atma is not so easy. Krishna realizes it. And once he says, well, think that I am that person who connects to the universe. So now this becomes a very thundering statement. This man was telling me, a teacher, some theory, and now he's saying he's the man. So he wants to use the word, his own name, Vasudeva. So that he had this internal notion a long time ago, where he discovered that that is the state exists, and he realized that state. Through realization of that state, he doesn't feel the pain. He doesn't see the horror of the war. He doesn't see the pain of hunger. He doesn't see that. And then he wants to transmit that. And look, that is possible, and that's me. This may be tantric. That may be the indigenous people who were trying to, who really do not know, do not think that God exists in the heaven or something. They believe, they try to, through their breath control, through their asanas, through their operation, try to see whether they can get extra energy, extra potential. And through some of those processes, this might have been discovered. So he kind of says that that connection, which connection? Atma to Brahma, that connection is realized. And that's me. I realized it. You may have Shraddha in it, may not Shraddha in it. You may say, hey, it's kind of giving me a ride. What is he talking about? He told me he was Viveka and nothing doing. And eventually says, look, I am the person. So there the Krishna's author or the Gita's author goes one step further. And where this whole operation of Brahma, so the Brahma and Atma connection, so that's the different form. So he goes into, okay, let us create the universe out of this. Because we live in the universe. We see the objects. So you're talking about void. Something I can't see, my Atma, and something called Brahma, which can't realize. And you are trying to connect the two. So let us make it simple. So he goes into this kind of invents the word, a new word comes in called Adhyatma, the attitude of exploring the universe from your own self. Atma, Adhyatma. Adhyatma is like I have the aspiration to find the universe. All right. I have not found it, but I have the aptitude of the processes. So that's Adhyatma. Adhyatma. Adhyatma is an effort. Adhyatma. So once that effort I continue, so then we say that how do you continue the Adhyatma effort? We had introduced the word Shraddha in the beginning, Shraddha in the faith. But here he will use the word Bhakti. Adhyatma can be enhanced only with Bhakti. What is Bhakti? What is Bhakti? Bhakti is that you have a desire to be there. you have love in you. That's not Shraddha. Shraddha is that I have this faith in it, but now I have love in this effort. I admire this effort. Bhajate, bhakti. So once the bhakti so that you will develop, that how you do create bhakti in you. Now bhakti is a two object thing. You have to be bhakti to something, and Brahman you don't see. So there he will say, okay, whatever you see, whatever you like, whatever thing is auspicious, whatever thing is important. So he will use the word called vibhuti. Vibhuti means that is in the universe, in the earth, or in this space. So the bhuti, objects are formed. Some objects are special to your own senses, special to you, special to your culture, doesn't matter. But you develop bhakti towards it. You can have knowledge, you can have some music, you can have. So the question is, it is not you have a passion, and this is where the Gita becomes powerful. That is, you love your passion, you go towards with admiration, appreciation, love. So that is the Vibhuti, which was the 10th chapter we did last year. So Vibhuti comes in many forms. The magnificent objects in the universe are Vibhuti. You can do smaller objects in the universe. They're also big. So the question, Bhuti, Vibhuti, depends on what you appreciate. But the question is that appreciation should manifest itself in love, bhakti. Your mother, your own village, there's the tree, there's the mountain, there's the star, there's the man, bhakti. So that bhakti, we kind of then say, okay. So now, whosoever listening to this so far, Krishna kind of explaining this. So I told you that until the Vasudeva, so people had a gaping look at him. What is he talking about? And he says, no, it's not me. It's not me. You go out and do, share your love, whatever you like. But know that's the manifestation of this Atma Brahma relationship. Now, you may not accept this, or the student doesn't accept this. And that when he sees that supposedly telling a student or supposedly telling some kind of a group somewhere, you find these people are not appreciating this beautiful thesis. So then he introduces this word called Rupa. Rupa. So the Atma and Brahma, this connection also manifests as Rupa. What is Rupa? Rupa are all objects. Anything that's existing. Small, big, large. Flowing, non-flowing, static, moving. So that is the Rupa. Objects universe. So once your Atma is connected to Brahman, all the objects in the Brahman are. So that you, or later poets have called it Vishwarupa. But basically, you can assume that form. How do you assume? You don't become that form. It's not that some kind of large monster comes out of it. But you can see through your mind's eye, Viveka's eye. So Viveka becomes so powerful that I see a tree. A tree is not a static, tall object in front of me. I can see inside of it. I feel it. I see a flower. It does not fragrant and so beautiful. I see the inner part of it. I see a man. I can go inside of it. I see a mountain. I am seeing the largeness of it. I also understand the hardness of it. So I need a river. So this whole thing, the identification of the object through your own processing, through this, what are you processing? Atma Brahma relationship, through your own Adhyatma. So once that you connect yourself, then Rupa becomes a manifestation.
You want
Now,
to sleep at home?
Hold on, Mishra. Hold on, Mishraji. Miss Chandra and Vignesh, can you please, Miss Chandra also, can you please mute it? Thank you.
so anyway, so that whole Rupa, that is, so what he does is, in order to reduce confusion, in order to see that this is not really understandable, so he does some operation which we can't really fully understand. It could be a tantric operation, that is some kind of a power he can transmit. In other words, that once you become Vasudeva, once you have this Brahmi Sthiti, once you have this connection between yourself and the universe, what powers will manifest in you? So that is naturally unknown to us, unknown to me. But what he will say, that through that power, he can invoke conditions on people so that they can see, the power of divinity, which is kind of a later we have called darshana and so on. You don't see the man, you see the enormity of the man. You don't see the mother, you see the power of the mother. You don't see the book, you see the contents of the book. So this enormity, so that is where he becomes a teacher. I will show you. You don't have to move. I will bring the mountain to you. I will bring the river to you. I will bring the stars to you. Because I have connection with them. I am connected. So that's yoga. So this supreme yoga, which is we call supreme, but nothing supreme about it. That is yoga. Connection is yoga. And once, what the new thing about Gita is, the once you connect, you become. The question is ability to connect. An ability to connect has the steps, as we said, the Shraddha, the elimination of Sangha, then you kind of understand the Brahma, and then understand yourself, reduce the Indriyas, because unless you reduce the Indriyas, the mountain doesn't become, you don't see the inner of the mountain. So, and then the, and then you kind of, then you see, then you have the Brahmistiti, where you connected to the Brahman, and then you have the Rupa, and doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what rupa. I mean, so this becomes so far appears to me as science, except that the last part, whether somebody will show me rupas, may be difficult to appreciate. But I would say it is not impossible to appreciate. Depends upon how much connected you are. The beauty of this is, once you are connected, and that's where Krishna triumphs, you don't reject the earth. You don't reject what you are. You continue to be what you are. But you understand what you are really. So that's a dichotomy between truth and appearance. What appears to you as you are, what in truth you are. You are in truth the largeness of the universe, and hence everything is in you. So naturally this Arjuna who sees this and so on, and who has been given this eyes to view this largeness and so on, because he did not succeed. It's not easy to succeed in a short period of time. But so when he sees this, and naturally he gets scared. He says, wow, I thought you were a friend and so on. I thought, I was playing with you and this thing, I was joking. But now I didn't know. So it's very difficult to then know who the yogi is. There may be many such people operating on the earth who are yogis, but we don't know them. We don't know them because they don't say that we are yogis. So Krishna is one of few who he might not have said himself that I am that person, but he has been invoked that position by virtue of his clarity, by virtue of this discovery. So they have given that he is. But once this Rupa manifestation is done, 11th chapter is done, so Krishna then continues saying that how he sees what happens to, suppose he is the part of this largeness yogi. So what happens to people who are not yogis, who are trying to be yogis, who are in the effort in the earth? So he kind of divides them in various ways, in some Sankhya manner, Sattva, Raja, Tama, and so on. And then also he would say the Shraddha itself may be of three types: Sattvika Shraddha, Rajasika Shraddha. That is, Rajasika Shraddha is you do Shraddha, you get something. Tamashika Shraddha, you do something, you kiss some, for your food. Sattvika Shraddha, so like that, he distinguishes. But then the question is, he has fun with that and just to explain to people who may not really be yogis. But his message is eventually that try to be yogi if you can. And once you become yogi, you see the largeness of it and you have the Shanti. Why Shanti? Because no fear. You are into yourself, blissful. Is it possible? What I think it is possible. But then again, what I told you, I think I'll close here. So I try to create the story so that I can eventually tell the students in some form this magnitude of India's discovery. Now, whether it is Krishna who brought it, or it is the Gita that brought it, I can't fully say. But what I can say, that mana as an object was investigated much before Krishna. But that mana, for example, now I'm talking to you, your mana may be somewhere else, moving around. But this technique that mana can be controlled is one thing. Can be controlled, okay. So that many other religions are trying to do. They call Christian yoga or some other yoga, mind control, mindfulness. So that kind of happens. But that's not Krishna yoga. It's not mindfulness. It's Viveka Khyati. It is go inside of you, see yourself. And then once you see yourself, Samattunya Rochite. All things become same. There's no distinction between ant and elephant. You have the object relationship with all things. There is nothing you say, I want this, because everything is in you and no desire. So Krishna in various ways will also, when you talk Shraddha, so what reduces Shraddha, how this Shraddha is blocked, so that he will explain and so on. But let me stop here. Any people have any? I did not read today because somehow this technology, I thought I should be not very conversant with it. So, so if you have any questions and so on and discussion, many of you might have spent more time, more thinking, more insight. But this is how I see it. And giving me up, I'm thankful that Sandeep arranges this every year and allows me to explore Gita, and through that examine life. I mean, what it is, what universe is. Does the universe has a life? And if so, how I connect to it? What is the connection? Am I connected? So this is the contribution of India to the world, that thy man, you are not localized. You are not here. You are part of this large universe. And your intellect, your breath spreads everywhere. You are not aware of it, but Viveka is aware of it. So try to explore it, find it, and you will be Shanti, Sukham, thereafter, Ananda. Ananda. All right? Okay. So thank you all. Any questions? I will try to see you in my own intellect. So I should also say that the local buddhi, mana has buddhi. Buddhi is manipulation. How do you operate? For example, now I'm speaking. I'm making my own phrases, trying to construct sentences. I see these people here. I'm trying to see whether I can be understandable. I'm applying my own intelligence. Buddhi. Local. So that is not Viveka. Viveka is an axiom that thou must understand. I have faith in what I'm saying. I have conviction. I won't say unless I have conviction. I mean what I say. Now, when you say you mean what you say, because if Viveka is not with you, that will stop you. But then your Viveka is not connected to you, so nothing stops you. You just speak as you like and so on. But that the state, I think, is possible, where Viveka, you are in control Viveka, and it says, hey, look, this is right. This is right. Why this is right? But this is where the universe is going. This is where the future is. So you align yourself with the universe so that you don't really feel isolated from the largeness of it. So you are part of it. So that's your Sangha. That's your association. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody has any question? I will try to answer. I think they have a somewhere, just Sandeep can moderate maybe, or some raise hands or something. I don't know.
Whoever wants to ask can unmute themselves.
Okay.
Mr. Rajiv, this is Aruna speaking.
Right.
Hello, sir. How are you doing? Good to see you. Okay, it's not your presentation was brilliant as always. I enjoyed it a lot. That's not a question, but what I learned. Just a brief note of that. See, the main message of Upanishad and all, Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita to establish the Ekya, the unity between Brahman, the universal consciousness, Pragya, you can see it, and Jiva, through the what we call Padavakya Vichara, Tat Tvam Asi. So, Tat universal Chaitanya, or you can call it Pragya, from Jiva the self, you can see it, and the Asi to the next equation between Brahman and you can call universal consciousness. So I think there's no becoming here, like you said. You are that, Vajna. That's what you're trying to, make us understand. And I think for do that, that's a Viveka is one kind of a example where you can realize this by your own experience. That's what I think. Where you're the Sakshi Bhava.
I think you have a good point.
Yeah.
I did not say this. What I think is true is many of these Mahavakyas have been enunciated empirically, which are empirically true. Brahmaiva Satyam, Anandam Brahmam. So these are all given. The science of it, the path of it. So why Gita becomes powerful to me is it enables man. It's not something you heard or something you can believe, something you can do. It provides a path that man possible you through your yoga, you can have the Vishwarupa in you. You are that person. You are that insect. You are that tree. You are that river. They are no different. And you can manifest. So this particular thing about, so yoga says, hold your mind, okay, fine, hold my mind. But the science of it, saying that there is an element called viveka in you, neurological. The Western science has not found it yet. That is, why should the man know its future? Future is only known to God. So the question is, once the man is enabled, all religious thoughts in the world, they die. They don't have a need. Because I am my master. That's what Gita says. That you, okay, currently you are operating through your endowed properties called Prakriti, fine. But that doesn't mean you have not the ability to realize the full potential of yourself. Brahmi Sthiti. So two statements, yoga karmashu kaushalam. So karmashu kaushalam is something we use. You know, man, that I have passion in this, passion in this, passion in this. I hear Vedas, I go to temple, I do this thing, karmashu kaushalam. Yoga samattam uchyate. But this whole power of manifestation, aham brahmasmi, the word they say this thing, it is not that aham It is the question of adhyatma. I have adhyatma through which I can make efforts. So it's not a statement. When it becomes statement, it becomes a cult. Cult. You just repeat it. Doesn't matter what you are. Am Brahmasmi, Am Brahmasmi, Am Brahmasmi. Fine. You don't know what Brahma is. Krishna is different from that point. He's on the ground. He's a man. He says, throw away the books. Be a man. See, what is that? Your own life is your future. Right? So 15, so like that, I did not go into the 12, 13, 14, 15. So Uddhamulada Sakham. So the question is, Varnani Yasya. So the tree has the leaves, and those leaves are your own life. So your life has your training, not in books. So that is what become very indigenous, very local, very populist, very populist. And I love it from that point of view. And I think there's a message there for all people. Now, naturally, this is suppressed. As I said before, this is my hypothesis. Because once I don't know how they discover it, because once you become powerful, once the man becomes powerful, the systems will not work. Whatever controls are there, they live through the man's labor. So man has to obey. He is superior. Once the man says that I am like you, then the system breaks down. So Krishna's system, probably, as he preached, did not last. And whether it will eventually last or not, I do not know. But that is the human religion. That nobody's small, nobody's large, nobody's power, nobody's minuscule. Universe is one. We're all part of the universe. We're equal rights. Brahmisthiti. And that's scientific. That's what I can believe. All right, okay, sorry. but I get carried away from this because because of the Gita's power and so on. There are a lot of stanzas in there where it kind of goes on saying that believe in yourself.
Yeah, we can discuss it in much length, but I understand from Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Yeah, thank you so much.
He's coming from Washington. She's joining from Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
Invited me to talk last 2 weeks ago, and so we became friends. All right, anything else?
Yeah, I have one question.
Please do.
Yeah, so Gita, they speak about the mukti, right? About that 4 different types of mukti. Like one of the mukti is joining with the God, and another one is about taking the same form like God and living with God. Another one is like whenever God takes when God becomes Rama, like Adishesha became Lakshmana, like that. There was different. So for people like us, how will be the feeling of mukti once someone attains that? How they will be like? They say we came from nothing and we'll join nothing. So
Very good point. Very good
is it
point.
very hard to reach mukti, or like in
No,
one
no,
birth?
no.
Okay.
So message is you are liberated as you are born.
Okay.
You are mukta. But then you remove, you accept bondage. So basically, the bondage that is imposed on you in whatever form, your appearance is the main bondage. Your senses are next bondage. Your society, your third bondage. Or family is the third bondage. Society, they're all sangha. So the soul itself, the Atma, To start with, it's a free word, liberate. And then you go through this process because you create these bondages and then to remove them. So the question then is, why even accept bondages? Things like that. But you have no choice. You have no choice. They are imposed on you to control you. It's not your fault. And then also your fault in the Gita's philosophy is that you may have an attitude to, for sweets. Attitude for good objects, Rajashekar. Attitude. You're born with it. I like this. I want to drink a cup of milk in the evening. You see? And hence, I must do anything I like to have the cup of milk. So that is where the bondage is coming in Gita's point of view, which are very difficult to remove. So he would say, okay, you can't remove them. So you go through many generations, things like that. But then the Gita becomes a cult, because why many generations? Why not 3 generations? Why not 5 generations? Some people say 84 generations. Something will say, Jainism will say that go through a cycle of some kind of a hierarchy of lives and so on. So you can make all that. That's not science. So from the 12th chapter onwards, so he will continue, he will say some kind of a cultist operation, that this may happen to you. Because realizing that this whole Brahmi sthiti, which he advocates, which he has realized, which is doable. Now, question is, can we have enough Shraddha in the conviction to find a Viveka? Then Brahmi sthiti is attained. Now, in Gita's theory, even though you feel you are dying or decaying, not mukta, you are mukta. Because your Atma is mukta. Atma has no death. So you cannot remove your body and so on, appearance. So that's kind of again, a cultist operation. Cultist operation means, wow, okay, this body contains and body dies and body becomes withered and so on, things like that. I can't prove or disprove it. I can't prove that the Atma is there. But what I can prove, and this is what I'm trying to stress, that I can operate through my Viveka. I can be guided by it, not by my mana. That control is with me. I can silence my mana. That's biological. Any palpitations are happening in my brain right now. I have an inner brain, which I can trigger. And that's say, stop it. Stop it. So the question is, that is in my control. And he will show some examples of how do you control your food, or how do you control your habits, or how do you do certain things and so on, so that you may achieve it. But that's the science part of it. And if you do them, have Shraddha in them, then you discover Viveka. So my point is that these things are so mysterious. I don't see my Viveka. I am not sure whether the Viveka will do me any good. So I even spend time, what is this? You operate as such. So we call something Shukha, some local pleasure. And so Krishna laughs at it. What is this? But that's how the life is. Life is. So inside that life, there is a Krishna Tattva is there, that which is through yoga, you discover your Viveka. How quickly you do, how effort you do, but Other thing is this darshana part we shared, Vishwarupa Darshana. So that kind of appears to me as a grace. Everybody may not manifest it. So somehow the successful man or the man who sees it, he may invoke that power and then we may see. I mean, so that is where you can get mukti through that process. Oh, I see. I didn't know who I was. This whole largeness is me. Amen. You feel released. You are not in that little cell that were confined before. Your name is not Vijay Mishra. You're larger than that, much larger, bigger. And so once you say, wow, blissful, blissful, blissful. But that's not through me. That's somebody who has realized he has to grace me. I can also reach there, but as Krishna did. But that again needs certain amount of juxtaposition of features, right attitude, right place, right setting. I don't know how we got it, but my belief is it is doable. And Shankaracharya talks about like you have the desire to be there, which he calls bhakti. All right, okay, I hope I answered to you in some form. So that part of it, like how the different muktis happen and so on, that's become cultist. Krishna cult. So Krishna cult is different than Krishna tattva. So this part, next part, we may continue. We might come to Krishna cult and so on. That is what you do and so on. And an operational as we live in society. Not that adhyatma, where I lift myself scientifically. Other question? Anybody?
Thank you.
Good. I hope I try to. Again, this can be not.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Because in
mukti
like
itself a topic, and Mike, we can
yeah.
go out on like what mukti is, mochana, and then we're reading Vedas these days, and the point is what surprises me, and this is again, I'm kind of a novice on this operations and so on. I've learned some Sanskrit, I've read some material, but the material is so large, so deep, so big. We are just, somewhere in the high above in the skin. So, but what I'm kind of see is that these concepts are indigenous to India. And that kind of drives me. It's not Vedic. Now, Vedic could be indigenous to India. But no God is there in the heaven. No God gives you something. You deliver your own goods to you. Work, karma. And Gita is very clear about it. But then what is clear is, okay, karma. So you become just an object of doing the karma. But then he says, no, you're also a divine object. So whether you come to divinity through karma, and that is where he will say, you may, but Shraddha pushes you better. You know what I mean? Karma phale spruha, no karma phale spruha is okay. That will make you happy. But that will make you not mukta. Would have left the universe from you. All right. Okay, any other? Oh, okay, what question? Anybody have a question?
Shraji,
Oh.
may I ask a simple question? That may I speak?
Yeah, please do.
That it is Shraddhavan Lavate Jnanam.
Right.
Jnanam Lavda Parashanti. So I want to know the difference between Shanti and Parashanti. Sorry.
See, Parashanti, the question is, he will use this word para, assuming that this kind of you have a state beyond you. phenomenon, which is para. Para is an older word. Para is which is outside of me. Para Shanti, which is in definition as the cosmic. That is something in me, something which is invoked in me. So Parashanti is invoked in me. So that's a grace. So it's not really I achieved it. So that's handshaking. Like for example, I'm speaking now. And because I'm speaking my heart, I have Shanti in me. I'm not fudging. I'm studied and you people are there. I'm speaking as freely as I can. I have Shanti. But Parashanti, that I'm eternal in Shanti. Everything is Shanti. My grounds are Shanti. My trees are Shanti. So then I have to diffuse myself from the Shanti. But then the Brahman has to grace it. Grace it. Grace it. So the question is, I can connect to Brahman. But Brahman has to do something in order to give me Parashanti. So that connection, that yoga, when I'm totally in Brahman, amen. And then whether I can eat, not eat, sleep, not sleep, I don't know. Parashanti, so the death, there's a Parashanti, right? So because you can't exist, I don't know. I don't know. What this philosophy is, that you are aware of what you are, and then you operate with your Prakriti, knowing that you have something else inside of you. Shanti. Shanti. You're not disturbed. You're not disturbed. Nothing bothers you. But Parashanti is I can show you. Not only I get Shanti, I give Shanti. So how I give Shanti? I give Shanti when Shanti is diffusing out of me. Amen. I can give Ananda. So Sama Karana Muchyate. So Shama. You might have seen the mothers, so baby crying and so on, they touch this thing. So the baby stops and so on. That's Shama. Between mother and son, mother and child. But when through my connection, I let the wind stop, Prakriti go my way. Let the corona, whatever happening, stop. Amen. Parashanti. Not something in me. But anyway, okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Anil, how you are seeing the babbling on me? This is how I babble.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Shall we close?
Yeah, one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they talk about these different lokas, right? Vishnu loka, Shiva loka, where the body goes. And if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, it speaks about Ajamila, who had born in a Brahmana family, but the way he lived a very bad life, right? I mean, he did all the, he married a prostitute and gave kids to 10 different children, and he started to steal. But at the end, Krishna gave salvation to him also, right? It says, so I mean, and also there is where like at once Ajamila realized, he went to Haridwar, 12 years he did the Yajna, then he says the Vishnu Tudas came to take him over to the God's world. So, but at the same time, with the latest Kali Yuga, like Krishna doesn't even recommend someone going to the jungle and leaving the family. We have to live a family life. But as said, with this material life, it's too hard, right? Like you mentioned, like bondage will hold the people. Even someone wants to get that intelligence, sometimes the karma is very tough, right? And even the intelligence to and the intelligence to feel the karma and akarma is also very hard. So so how should we like live the life? Like sometimes if we start to analyze too much about every action, whether this is good karma, bad karma, then also we can't live the life, right? So
The thesis is the following. The thesis is
mhm,
nothing is good, nothing is bad. So that's you're distinguished between Krishna Tattva and Krishna Dharma.
dharma. Yeah.
Dharma is something that probably he had adopted at the end of by the later part of his life in order that people may follow him,
Mhm,
because his efforts of preaching jnana, that this
mhm,
is what it is,
mhm,
that was not finding traction. Nirmana moha sanga dosha. So those kind of things that he sings about, that I think is his words. So that's not finding traction because people are into the current day world. So then he said, I went to Dwaraka, see how Krishna operates. So it's okay, come on, whatever you give me and so on, I accept and so on. So this whole logic, he makes into a cult.
mhm,
It means he can rescue, he could, there's legends are there, so he goes and rescues women here and there, he kind of kills and does things and then. So those are our cultists.
mhm,
That is not his thesis. The Krishna should shine in the world as the first philosopher and only philosopher who empowers man, who thought about the man. You are your savior. Through your yoga, potency comes through yoga. He experimented it. Some of the jadus or sabaras and so on, as I know, indigenous people, they experiment on it. How best you can, Vishwamitra experimented. So these kind of techniques where I can sharpen my skill, I can become a better individual. My indriyas are sharp. I hear long distance. I see long distance. I have better test. All these are doable. So that was the original yoga. What Krishna added to it, that was not called yoga, though. That's called Kaushala. What Krishna added is you also have a sense of becoming. That is, you don't fetch the bird, you are the bird. So that is where the human being becomes a part of the cosmos as you are, by respecting every other object in the cosmos. You identify, appreciate, respect, and you become. No religion, no philosopher, nobody even, now what I'm saying in the beginning, this could have been an accident for him. This particular state that I'm talking about, a void state in us, a neurological state, where your senses do not exist, your mind doesn't exist, you float, the time becomes still. You don't know the time exists or not. You are not there. And then how you come back to senses, I do not know. What mechanism reduces you to a local senses. But at a particular time, your senses do not exist. So any person who says that they are meditation and saw this, that's not true. You can't see. You may see some white light or so, but that's neurological, that's electrical. But beyond that, that's the state of total silence. So that he discovered, and that he calls as the signature of life in us, Atma. to which the Yoga Sutram, the Patanjali Yoga Sutram, he tries to analyze that this is an observation, and can this observation be analyzed? So, drashtum. So, top drashtum. To see yourself, you do this. Silence the mind. And naturally, when silence the mind, many things will happen. And so my thinking is, many of the Indian literary people, when they did stuff, beautiful thing they did, they all practiced this. Because why I think they practiced it? Because in order to produce good material, you have to forget yourself. If I am saying that this is Vijay Mishra speaking, I'm not speaking. I'm not telling the truth. So only when I am out of me, then I have access to truth. And if that truth I can bring down to public people, writing, through my art, through my sculpture, through my industry, then that will live through, because I'm not the author of it. Valmiki doesn't say the author of this comes to him. So when you have a system, and you may also experience it, if you become deeply into it, when it comes to you, you feel like a channel. Something is flowing through you. So then you feel that bliss. And that's the realizable state. It's not artificial. Except that it cannot be neurologically found that what that happens. So you can put sensors here and there, then you can't simulate it. Also, probably the sensing happens in a very high frequency scale internally, and that we do not have the sensors yet to detect it. But you can realize it. You know what I mean? How does Pratibha manifest itself? So what the later part of it, you know, this lokas and where do we go and this thing, the body, what the body moves and so on. So that's kind of become imagination. I think to me, some imagination and so on, because some satisfaction, you know, people say, let God bless you, or something like say that, look, let God be with you, things like that. There's no God there to be with you. God is you. Ishvara. And that's also Gita's message. Hruddesi. Hruddesi in the heart.
Yeah. That's what they say. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Rupa. Yeah. Like that there's a Jiva and Paramatma. Yeah, that's what I think. Like we are the people who trust God says about Jivatma, and the Paramatma is God that merges with it. Same thing, only like atheists say, you know, inner engineering, right? Same thing they tell in a different way.
No,
Inner consciousness.
no,
Inner
I
consciousness.
think this whole thing to really empower them, and I don't know how the empowerment stopped and why they stopped it, and whether we can revive it. My point is, in the US, whatever life is left for me, if I can engage the children, younger people, that you are empowered. You don't have to depend on anyone. Your abilities are inside of you. That's Krishna. Krishna did not learn this in a school somewhere, by his own personal experience. And he claims so. Throw your books, Vedavadarata Partha. So those being arguments, I'm right, you are right. Your experience is not argument. The question is your experience your perception or truth? So that you have to see with Viveka. What did I really experience in this? Is it personal are universal. Does pain happen this manner? Things like that. Gita is powerful. Go on. The reason I do this so that you can all speak about it, read about it, and so on, because that's the message we have. Nothing else is the message. I think, to me. Rest are all derivations of it. India's discovery, India's contribution to the world, that man is not a pawn, man is divine. The human design is not accident, it is a purpose. That purpose is Brahma Karma. You go out, work. Why work? Because you have been provided water, air, food, fire. That's Gita. So you don't depend on your water, air, fire on somebody else. You're ashray. All right.
So,
Tell me,
Mr. Rajay,
who else? Yeah.
Anil here. So,
Anil, you stay down,
the-
no? Exam.
yeah, I have exam, but I thought this has more value than exam.
Thank you. Well,
Uh,
great stuff.
so the whole system is based on reward and punishment. So what happens in the reward and punishment thing? When you go onto the top level, you are more responsible for the punishment if you really create problem at a higher level, right? So more the viveka you have to you have to see the srishti just working as is,
Right.
and you cannot have a desire to tweak with it.
Right. You're right. No, that's
Okay.
the thesis. The whole
That's the thesis.
Aristotle's free will, in order to discard this, is I am not speaking because I wanted to speak.
So what happens is
That's
that
the para.
when
That's para in the sense that a larger force that operates in the universe that makes us meet. Yeah, go ahead.
So because of the reward and punishment thing, the ability to get to realize Krishna becomes a hindrance. Because they are punished to not to see this part, that part, that part. Like say, if you kill a dog,
yeah.
no dog is going to like you.
Right.
So when you go at a higher level and you look at the dog, you are not being liked. Something like that. So there are certain way whereby you get punished to not to have that vision. And because you don't get that vision, you don't see the connection to the top.
Right. So Krishna also realizes that. I think in the Gita, I don't know, Krishna realizes or the Gita author realizes. Abhyasam is the Kunta here. So the question is, this particular thing that you do not, because the perception, the way I do, way I offer Shraddha, so there is no direct means of verifying that this will be called Shraddha. I mean, so the question, I may be thinking that I have the full Shraddha in me, but that is not what the universe wants. So that difference will lead to conflict. That is, I work so hard and so on. I do so much of bhakti, so much of puja, so much of this thing. And what is this? What is this? People are not.
Exactly.
I can't feed my home, my family, right? So something is wrong here. What I have come to believe lately, and this is again another article of faith, Shraddha, that There is no negativity in the universe. Universe is positive.
Yeah.
That means when I got a punishment, I got a punishment for a reason.
Yes.
And that reason is I have to be trained that, look, this wasn't. Now, whether I accept it in that fashion or my avimana, my what you call ahankara, says that, I did this and that did not happen. So that we have to kind of, how I release myself from there, that the mana comes in. And that they realize that this thing is a real thing. So they will say, they say Prakriti also three types and so on. Why three, maybe 100 types? The question is, so those are kind of a things. So you have to rationalize. Ashuri Prakriti, Rakasi Prakriti, this Prakriti. So that means that they kind of, they say, I cooked food and so on. I went there and the priest did not offer it.
Yeah.
So then I say, oh, look at that. So much effort I did. And this beggar, he did not offer it, right? So that whole thing. So the ananda is that you did not put your full self in cooking. Your full self was offering.
Exactly.
So that is what Krishna will say, the nama karma pharisruha. So the question is that you have to kind of relinquish yourself. So that is hard though. That is hard.
Yes.
Again, I'm saying people who know me and so on, experiment you have to do that. Does the work you do as a duty or what you do because there's a desire? This is the talk I did here.
Yeah.
Is it to exhibit what I have learned or to say, hey, look, I submit to you that you respect the gentleman of India who somehow saw something different. And I want to submit to you that to me, nothing else that India has found is as important as this man. Is that my desire or my desire to show off? Like, look, I have read and so on. So the question is, that's not easy because both are operating simultaneously. So inside of that, we have to find the truth. And that truth can be found, to me, as I see, when I remove myself from it, which is hard, which is hard because I want to be say, hey, Mishraji, he's this. So when I go to lectures and so on, they introduce me various ways, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means little, nothing.
Yeah.
You are humble, you are little, minuscule.
Yeah.
And then the question is, do you understand your minuscule? So this understanding, I think Krishna, if you go to Dwarika, you will see like how I don't know whether he operates in that manner or so on, like let all doors be the same type.
It's in a confined state, right? When you talk, okay, Vijay Mishra, then it's a confined state. And when you actually in a realized state, that's something where you
not realize. I think the point is that when you thesis, for example, it takes effort to make convinced of something.
Yeah.
For example, I like you, your statement. But I have Shraddha in you is not a statement. It's a bhava.
It's not a statement. It's as good as saying, I trust you, but you don't. That's something.
That's a bhava in the sense that I am dying to really meet him. Yeah. I have my whole, that is called Nasha. Nasha in the sense I have this total immersion on him, onto him. And so that is where Krishna realizes that unless people have that, they're not getting it.
Yeah.
So he does various miracles now in order to impress people that look, you didn't get it and get it through this now. something like that. When I look at this intellectually, you see the fallacy of it.
Yeah. But you see, Mishraji, right now, see, before we used to have agriculture age and then industrial age, then information age. Right now, it's called as passion age. So I expect people having passion with different areas, different facet of life. And probably that in this area, we will find people who are passionate about finding this thing.
Right? No. This is the truth. Whether you find or not, that's a different question. The question is why I love as an astronomer on this particular operation is that the fact that this is not a question. What's
it
life?
Exists.
Well,
it exists. It's nothing to find about it.
Can life be caught? Can we see life? Then you say, no, you can't see life. You can see a living man or a dead man. You don't see life. So what this says, no, you can realize life. That is, you don't see with your senses, not with a mind, but you penetrate them, and inside of that is Ishvara, and he will show you who you are. So that's the science part of it. Now, if you don't accept it, then you don't make efforts. So first you have to say that, yes, I have life in me, and that life is there. And then the other part is, I have a right to realize it.
Yes.
It should not fool me. I have a right to, because it's my life. And that is the story of Krishna, so how he picked that hypothesis, that I have a right to see it. My thinking is, he accidentally saw it, he made it, something happen. Then he said, this is life. And then he continues on this life, then Brahmi and so on. But the question is, we don't have any other theoretical things of it. And second thing is that such a thing is realizable. Anyone can try it, and then it takes effort though. It may take 20 years, 30 years. It takes intense immersion, say abhyasha, vairagya. So it may say that, look, you have to kind of relinquish yourself, sangha dosha. So you have to kind of do all that, possibly. But then it could be grace though. Like Arjuna, some good soul will come. He say, oh, I saw you. Hey, Anil, you are there. Really? No. Yeah, you are there. So like that can be instantaneous.
Yeah.
So that's darshana. That darshana in the sense you just suddenly. So the question is that mind's eye, Divya Chakshi they say. So whether that is, so Saddha is, I have to accept that it exists in me. Besides my external eyes, I have a Divya Chakshi in me, which is connecting me to my life, my universe, my entire thing. So that Divya Chakshi is Viveka. So that is right. It knows, hey Bijoy, go this way. Hey Bijoy, go there. So that is inner call. So the question is, somebody brings it to you, or you discover yourself.
Like an intuition.
Something like that. I don't. I think for me many years ago, I think that's what I should not go into those. But then you kind of say you get scared. So number one, you as a scientist, you say this is a state. But certainly you say, wow, do I want to stay in that state?
The moment you realize you lose that state.
And then what happens is when I talk about that, you get to that state, you realize that state, but then you say, no, I have duties on the earth. And my mother means I left India to take care of my mother. So naturally you have to kind of say, hey, look, I have duties to do. Now, whether that becomes automatic in Brahmi Sthiti, I do not know.
Yeah, right.
Krishna will say, Bhaktivinoda Krishna, like for example, I don't know how much it's true because they killed him. So whether
Yeah.
so whether that is a fact or not, but I do see that such radical thinking, people will, when you see these jadus, they're not into this. They're into drinking. They're moving around, gambling. Then he gets disturbed. My point is, why Krishna get disturbed? You are in Brahmi Sthiti. Let go, right? But somehow you say it did not work. I tried by hard. I came to Dwaraka. I lived here and so on, this thing, and what I'm seeing here. I don't know that it's true or not. But if it is true, so he caused them to perish, and then he got killed himself, things like that. So that is the story of frank talk, scientific talk. And so we have to take it from there. But I think we have to reject that part of it, like whether the earthly, you can be earthly or not.
Okay.
Who is the protection in that? The Brahmi Sthiti eats or not? Who cooks for you? How do you get your grocery? What is the food?
Yeah.
Who is your brother? Krishna had a brother. Which supported him. You know what I mean? So this Brahmi Sthiti operates. But then the food and the house operations are taken care of by his older brother. And we don't have blessed with such brothers, right? So we have to kind of balance it ourselves. So the logic then is that you understand it, but also you are an earthly, and be as much detached as possible, possibly, and don't get involved. And then experiment. My present view is that experiment is positive.
I agree with you.
That experiment is that, yes, the disease will not come. It will say, why bother this man? Something like that. But then whether it does come or not, we do not know.
Right.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Raji. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Raji.
What is chat?
Thank you, Michelle.
Is there a chat thing that we respond? Thanks for your lucid presentation.
Yep.
And something wrong with my audio. Thank you so much. Okay, all right. So that's okay. So not busy, no questions. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you. I think we will, recording is there. We shall see whether it will stop. We'll record it and people may listen. Okay, Sandeep, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anil, for staying back. Arunaji, if you're still here, thank you. Thank you, Leena.
Sure. Namaskar, Mr. Raji. Thank you.
Yes.
Namaskar. Bye.
Jignes or Bignes? Bignes. All right. All right. Bignesh. All right. Have I met you, Bignesh?
Hi, how are you? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have I met you in the temple?
Yes, yeah, I know you. Maybe you don't know me, but
No, that names, means I don't know many names.
yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
So thank you for your questions.
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. We close now.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.